Sup, you fools? Matt, ESC United, your favorite Eurovision channel. We got some new breaking news, so let's delve right into it. Let's talk Eurovision. Each and every one of us is curious and dying to find out what's going to happen at Eurovision 2021, how it's going to be hosted. Will there be an actual show or what? Well, the most important thing is there will be a Eurovision. So whatever you're thinking, that is the most important thing. So relax, we have Eurovision. But the EBU and the Dutch broadcaster, they put forward an updated version on the scenarios that are still in the running as far as hosting the Eurovision 2021 concert are concerned. So let's talk about them, and as there have been some adjustments. So these are the original 4 scenarios, as you can see. Scenario A would be a good old-fashioned Eurovision as we know it. Scenario B would be a similar thing in terms of we're going to have a social distancing audience, but all delegations would still be there. Scenario C would mean, hey, only some delegations may travel. It's up to each country and each broadcaster to decide who wants to go and who doesn't. And then scenario D would be a closed down, a lockdown contest where no one would travel, but they would still have the show, but everything would be basically remotely, kind of like Junior Eurovision 2020. Those were the original plans. Now, everyone involved, as we all know, the COVID pandemic is still ongoing and things change. We get vaccines in and more people getting vaccinated. In some places, the cases are dropping and others are still kind of like going up. So, and we don't know what's going to happen with all these different strains out there. It's still too early to make a final determination. But the EBU and the broadcaster have put forward the 3 new or potential scenarios, and they all have been slightly adjusted, or most of them have been a little adjusted. So let's take a look at these still potential outcomes in terms of how Eurovision 2021 may take place. This is the new updated scenario situation. Scenario A is completely off the table, which shouldn't come as a surprise because it's just not feasible to have a contest that we're all known to do in the past. But B, C, and D are still completely on the table. In terms of B and C, there have been slight adjustments in terms of the wording and the definition of who would be there and who wouldn't. So scenario B now says, and I'm going to read the statement from the EBU, everyone attending the Eurovision Song Contest at Rotterdam's Ahoy Arena would need to practice social distancing. Strict health and safety measures, including frequent COVID testing, would be in place at the venue. A protocol to protect artists, delegation, and crew on and offsite would be adhered to. If there are any delegations who cannot travel to Rotterdam, their artists will perform live on tape with a recorded performance being used. And those who can travel to Rotterdam will perform them live. There will still be 9 shows with 6 dress rehearsals, 2 semifinals and a grand final, either with no audience or a reduced audience to allow for social distancing. So there will be social distancing in place regardless. And then the final capacity would be dependent on local government guidelines. There will be activities in the city of Rotterdam held in a safe and responsible way. So, what's the difference from the original scenario B? Previously, scenario B included all delegations traveling to Rotterdam. Now, in scenario B, you could still potentially record your performance and don't show up at the live event. That is still a possibility now, which wasn't before. So that doesn't mean most people will stay home, but it could be. So from what we're hearing, there's probably just a little chance for all delegations to actually be in Rotterdam. Maybe there will be. The situation is very fluid. Where are we going to be in May? We don't know. And it comes down to what the regulations in the Netherlands are at that point in time. But this is, at this point, the best case scenario for Eurovision. And whether or not that's going to happen, we shall see. Now, scenario C. Scenario C, as you can see, is on here, and this is what it means. Similar Eurovision Song Contest from Rotterdam's Ahoy, but no delegations or artists will travel to Rotterdam, and the host and interval acts will still be live from Ahoy. The performance of all the participants will be live on tape. Strict health and safety measures, including frequent COVID testing, would be in place at the venue. A protocol to protect crew on and offsite would be adhered to. And there would be, again, 9 shows, and there will be no audience or a reduced audience to allow for social distancing. There will be reduced activities in the city of Rotterdam held in a safe and responsible way. So, what's the difference here compared to the original Scenario C? Well, previously, Scenario C had said some delegations may stay home. Now it means Scenario C, all delegations will stay home. There still might be an audience or not, but Scenario C said nobody will be there. They'll always send in their recorded performances to the EBU and they will broadcast it instead of having a live performance on stage. So this is now the new Scenario C, adjusted as well. And then, of course, there is still Scenario D, a lockdown contest. And that means a Eurovision Song Contest without an audience and virtual activities will be considered to explore the host city of Rotterdam. Performances will be all live on tape. There would be 9 shows, just like always, but no audience. There's still a lot of things under review, and the EBU said, of course, an extensive health and safety plan has been developed for all scenarios to guarantee the maximum protection of everyone present at the Eurovision Song Contest. A special coronavirus protocol has also been drawn up that reflects those already in use by Formula One, for example. So this is the update right now. It means we have just more clarification on the new scenarios. Of course, it is not the most desired outcome because Scenario A is off the table and Scenario B have been changed. B and C have been changed to and adjusted to make it even less less inclusive, for the lack of a better word, because B, we were hoping at least all delegations would travel. Now B said hopefully all but at least most will travel to Rotterdam. And then C, which was previously said some delegations, saying no delegations. So we have to wait and see what's going to happen. The everyone involved, the Dutch government, the health experts, they're all committed to do the best and the right thing, and we don't know what the health regulation will be in May. So that is why they are now changing or updating the guidelines, because we're getting a little closer to the events, even though we're pretty far out still. We got still a few months to go. Now, a lot of you, or some of you at least, got tickets in Rotterdam for one of the 6 shows, and 9 shows actually. And so if you can't travel, you should get a refund, and that is what the EBU is going to do. As there will be less capacity regardless of the situation for an audience in scenarios B and C as well, organizers have decided to refund all current tickets holders this month and later give them the option to repurchase the tickets for the same show. So everyone will get a refund for their tickets, and if there will be some audience, a reduced capacity, and you might be able to repurchase the ticket. And the ticket numbers available for each show, that will still depend on the government guidelines regarding social distancing. So we have to wait, and the EBU will probably wait potentially up until April to make that final call. So for international travelers, that makes it maybe a little bit more difficult because, you got to plan, put on vacation time, buy your tickets, all of that stuff. So yeah, there you have it, the update. There will be no good old-fashioned Eurovision, unfortunately, this year. The most important thing is, so there will be a Eurovision. And for a lot of people, especially in the Netherlands, it's very disheartening that they've gotten this win in and now people can't travel to Eurovision. Some of them might, may not. We don't know yet. But at least the EBU has now the ability to plan for each and every scenario. So 3 scenarios are still out there, and they have a lot more guidelines and rules in place. So that makes it a little bit more easy for them to kind of see, okay, this is what we're going to do, this is what we can prep for. Now, there are a lot of things that, I didn't address in the screenshot. The audience in the arena could be between 0 to 80%. That is the best case scenario, both for B and C scenarios. If you are, C to me is particularly weird. If you don't have the acts perform live, would you want to even go to see Eurovision? I don't know. Some people might, because the hosts are still there, the interval acts, so that's also happening. But not having acts actually in the arena is a little strange, right, for not being there. In terms of events in Rotterdam, all the Euro Club and all the Euro Village stuff, that may or may not happen. We don't know how much they're going to have there, but it has to be limited and it has to be social distancing. So we shall see. In terms of the press center, and this will only affect people like me, it's most likely that we won't be in Rotterdam. If there is a scenario B happening, 500 people will be on site, and that's it. And about 1,000 people, 1,000 journalists will be on a virtual kind of setup. What that entails, I don't know yet. That remains to be seen. But the 500 people that will be local probably more likely will be actual local press. We don't know yet. So I don't think I will be in Rotterdam for this event, unfortunately. That applies to a lot of other folks. So that is where we're at this point. So I would love to hear your thoughts as well. I've been saying we have to, whatever we can get, we'll take it, right? It is disappointing. It is disappointing the second year in a row that we probably won't be able to visit Eurovision. Last year was worse because it was completely canceled. At least this time around we'll have something. But for those who like to go and see it, experience it in person, this is definitely a setback. But for those who only watch it on TV anyway, to you, maybe it's not as big of a difference. I would love to hear from you as well, how you feel about it. Those of you who have watched Junior Eurovision this year, basically Junior Eurovision 2020 was a lockdown Eurovision. All countries that took part had actually their performance recorded from their home broadcaster studio, and it was a pretty nice flow, but it certainly had a different feel to it. It certainly doesn't have the excitement, the big crowds, the feel, that we all love about Eurovision, but at least we had the music, and at least we had the results. So this is going to be different. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it, regardless of the scenario, whether it's B or D. It will be different this year. The EBU, though, they've learned from the Junior Eurovision experience and know kind of how to prepare. The show itself will still be quite slick. I have no doubt about it. But that's the situation that we're in right now. So social distancing, Eurovision is a go. The question is how social distancing it is, or potentially a complete lockdown. We really just have to wait and see if the vaccinations come in time, bringing down the cases, if the Dutch government allows some, changes their guidelines in terms of who can travel, what kind of events can be held, and so many other things to be taken into consideration. Because even though the Dutch government may loosen their restrictions, we're talking about 41 different countries having 41 different regulations in place. So, it is still a little bit too soon to know for sure, but at least we are a step closer in terms of what may happen. So, there you have it. Just want to throw the update at you. How do you feel about this? Are you relieved that there are still options out there, or are you devastated that scenario A is not going to happen? And any other thought that comes to mind, I would love to hear from you. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Goodbye.